We're three best friends, and we love Lost, and we love talking. But even more so, we love talking about Lost. So join us for some laughs, good conversation, and let's get lost together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Get Lost. I'm your co-host, Amanda, and I'm joined with my two besties, Theresa and Kip, for this week's episode, which is Confidence Man, episode 8, featuring the one and only Sawyer. We've all been waiting for this. What do we have to look forward to, Kip?
Let me read you the synopsis. Alrighty. Confidence Man, episode 8, written by Damon Lindelof, directed by Tucker Gates. The onset of an asthma attack threatens Shannon's life, and the only man who can help her is Sawyer, whom Boone believes stole her inhalers from the fuselage. When Sawyer refuses to help, Jack must decide whether to resort to violence or retrieve the medicine. Sayid is forced into a similar decision when Locke becomes the prime suspect in the attack that destroyed his radio equipment. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that synopsis. It's kind of misleading.
I don't like it.
I just hate when synopses of anything refer to something that's like such a small part of the episode. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, like, let us just discover that tidbit then. Don't put it in there. It seems disingenuous.
When Sayid talks to Sawyer, it's literally 15 seconds, if that even.
You mean Locke?
Locke.
Who did I say?
Sawyer.
Yeah.
When he talks to Sawyer, it's
It's the whole episode.
a few minutes longer than
Yeah, sorry. When Sayid talks to Locke,
Yeah.
it's only like a few, like barely half a scene.
And let's talk about how he's never the prime suspect. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Sawyer's
He's not
the prime suspect of everything.
Oh, that's funny. So for this episode, Theresa, do you have some info for us about it?
I do. So this one had 18.44 million viewers. On IMDb, it's rated 8.6 out of 10. And we were looking at days 9 and 10 on the island. Sawyer's nickname count is up to 5. So you have Ollie for Sayid, not great. Freckles for Kate, and then Doc, Cowboy, and Chico for Jack.
I don't remember Chico, I'll be honest with you.
And
I
I'm
have to watch it again because I remember thinking, like, why are you calling him that?
I mean, is Doc really a nickname, though? Because he is a doctor.
It's a title.
I mean, no one else calls him doctor. They just call him Jack. And then sometimes they say the doctor, but they're not like...
And is Ellie really a nickname or borderline a racist slur?
It's an insult.
I was going to say, yeah.
But that's definitely Sawyer's thing. And I was actually surprised there weren't more for an episode that's Sawyer-centric.
But he spent a lot of the time unconscious, being tortured.
In pain.
Or making out.
We'll get to that.
Don't say it like that.
All
That's
right.
weird. I didn't.
18
We
million.
just started.
18 million watchers, viewers, peeps watching.
Well, it's interesting because a few weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, we talked about how from one episode to the next, there was like a drop of 2 million viewers. And like, I think you had said, Amanda, that like networks would kill for those ratings these days. And so I was just looking, like, the average viewership of season 1 of Lost was 18 million viewers an episode. The average viewership of a primetime drama in this latest television season, 21-22, was only between 9 and 10 million.
Yeah, that's insane to me. That is, and for people who are like, oh, it's still 9 or 10 million, that's a big difference.
Huge. It's almost half.
And I am convinced that most shows just have 1 million viewers, and then NCIS and Law & Order SVU have 55 million viewers of old people who've been watching all 20 seasons.
So like you.
All 20 seasons,
Brings up the average.
plus all 6 different versions of NCIS. NCIS International Space Station, I'm sure, is coming soon.
So that's how that works. Just in case, that's my scientific belief on how the ratings are working in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to read you guys some trivia.
Ready?
I got
Wait,
3
I
questions.
don't have my sound ready. Let me just think.
Think you got 3 seconds. Question number 1. Which main cast member did not appear in this episode? And hold on. You can give either the actor's name or the character's name.
Walt.
Correct. It was Walt.
I was like, maybe I should change my sound. And then I was like, no, this is perfect.
And for bonus points, what's the actor's name who plays Walt?
Malcolm something Kelly.
Yeah, Malcolm David Kelly.
I was trying to cheat off this, but he's not on
He's not on that.
Okay, I'll find Malcolm David Kelly. What have you been up to?
I was thinking of David E. Kelly. Didn't he create like
Everything, yeah.
all those TV shows? Yeah. I wonder if he's related. Probably not.
I don't think so.
Okay. Question number 2. What connection is there between the final song played, which is called I Shall Not Walk Alone by the Blind Boys of Alabama, and Sawyer? What connection between the song and Sawyer?
I don't know. Like the character or the actor?
The character.
Texas?
No.
Country?
In Texas.
I don't know.
They're called the Blind Boys of Alabama.
Alabama? Southern states? I don't know.
Southerners.
Okay. I mean, this one was news to me, but the line from the song, I just reach for Mother Mary, is heard while showing Sawyer rereading the letter at the end. And later we find out Sawyer's mother's name was Mary.
I just got chills.
Did you? I was just thinking that's a stretch.
I got chills.
Like that's a coincidence. And
No.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
If I ever meet, if I have one question for those guys, it won't be things about the ending. It'll be, was that on purpose?
Yeah.
I think it was on purpose because that's the only line from the song that I remember.
Do you actually?
Yeah, because I watched the episode twice, and the first time I remembered it, and then the second time I was like, oh yeah, that I remember that line.
I didn't remember his mother's name was Mary.
I didn't remember the mother's name was Mary.
Oh,
but
but
I
you remember the
that
line.
Yeah.
Mary. Okay, question number 3. What profession did Josh Holloway almost go into before he found out he got the role of Sawyer?
Oh, I've read this somewhere before, but I can't remember.
I don't know, but I'm gonna guess. Model.
No.
Okay, well,
Real estate agent.
it's very on point.
Yeah, real estate agent.
What?
That's right.
Well, I figure he's very charismatic, and
Are you thinking of Sawyer or Josh Holloway, though?
Josh Holloway.
Holloway's very charismatic.
Yeah, and he actually got his real estate license 4 days before he found out, and he was about to start being a real estate agent. And then he got the news.
You might want to consider going back to that. Just kidding. He's on Yellowstone or something now, right?
Yeah, but
Spoiler.
alert. Anyway.
If you guys, is that it? Is that the trivia?
Yeah, one other, it's not a question, but it was interesting when Josh Holloway was doing the audition. The character Sawyer was supposed to be this like city slicker, like New York con man style. And he got frustrated that he thought he read the line wrong, and he kicked his chair in the audition. And J.J. Abrams was like, well, do that again, but do it in your real accent, which is like a Southern accent. And he's like, yeah, we like that. Do Sawyer like a Southern accent. And that's how he became like this like Southern confidence man style. Based basically
really
on Josh.
It fits his like style, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but
I know something we're kind of skirting over though is that this is the very first time in this is our 7th recording that I won trivia.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, because I either don't answer or get it wrong or I tie.
I think you've tied.
I've never
yeah.
just taken it away, so I just wanted to.
Oh,
really,
congratulations,
Congrats.
Theresa.
thanks. That sounded really, really genuine.
It wasn't.
That's for you for winning.
Thank you.
That's our new happy celebratory sound.
All right. So something we've decided to do is change up our format a little bit. So Teresa's going to actually start the episode by reading her stream of consciousness, because what we found was that she ended up talking about a lot of things that we like to discuss anyway. And so it'll be really, really great to give us that wholesome perspective before we get into the episode analysis. And we're also going to throw in Dan's hot take right after that to get these thoughts before we start the discussion. So Theresa, take it away.
So, confidence man. Hey, Kate, where'd you get them nanners? Holy wow, Sawyer, hell of a bod. Kate, stop staring. You're just as bad as Michael. Or am I? Ew, this lady kiss is weird. Why do we still wander alone in the jungle? Oh, and look, he's got his book with him. Okay, Boone, what you doing? Why are we assuming that it's a man side? I can also come from behind and hit you in the head. Oh no, Boone's bleeding. Oh, so now we finally have an answer. Claire is a beach person. Is that a scrape, Boone? You're bleeding everywhere. It doesn't make you brave to downplay your shit. Also, Boone's eyes are gorgeous. Why doesn't anyone ever just ask Sawyer nicely? Jack, why are you so angry? Is it because Kate saw his peen before yours? Kate, why do I find you annoying today? Is it the hashtag Amanda effect? Sawyer's dimps are amazing. Also, y'all kind of acting like savages to me. Everyone is so abrasive today. Jealous Jack. Surprise, surprise. Oh, Sawyer, I try to help you out and this is what you do? Kate, you think you're so clever. Also, you've overplucked your brows. Also, it's clear Sawyer just reacts to things to keep people away and keep them at a distance. Definitely hot-headed. And his letter is heartbreaking. Locke, I watch a lot of TV and I don't know how to do what you're saying. A slow fuse with a cigarette? How? And how do you know to time it when you don't know when someone's going to get to their spot and set it off? Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Seems like a stretch. Oh, wow. And now we're all fighting. And Sawyer's not even fighting back. Clearly something's wrong here. And Sawyer's smile is so cute. And Charlie and Claire are so cute. Like, this is a relationship that actually stands a chance. Sorry, Jate and CAC fans. Also, I'm not sure how Sawyer is profiting from being on this island. Shannon looks messed up. I don't love her, but this is really sad. And Boone is just a walking panic attack. Jack the Jedi. That sounds cute. That's a very loose interpretation of the word communication side. Also, just an observation, but Jack has a great nose. Oh my God, Charlie, that's rude. And that's actually very mean. Poor Hurley. Michael, here we go. When you're at home and you're cutting food, do you just try to do it in your hand? Why don't you find a rock? Maybe use your construction knowledge to find something to put it on and then cut it, you moron. Son, I think you're just the nicest lady. Saeed and Jack, I think we're crossing a line here. This isn't right. Also, does anybody remember when Justin Bieber became a thing? Because Sawyer has that hair flip thing down, and I'm wondering if he learned it from him. This torture thing really isn't okay. I'm really curious about what stunts Sawyer's got between the sheets that no one's ever seen. He's super hot this episode, and he's clearly not all he seems. But this is pretty disgusting, even for him. It's an odd thing to think that writing Sawyer's name is so much fun. I gotta love that S. He looks so sad before she kisses him, and that's a lot of tongue. Is that allowed on network TV? Also, she seems pretty into it. Also, when someone says kiss me, are we talking a makeout or a peck? Because this feels like crossing a line. He seems to know he's being disgusting. And holy shit, Sawyer, that's super messed up. But also, I think you're lying about this. Jack doesn't want to help because he's jealous. And Boone, sit your ass down. Know your place. He's already bleeding. What are you going to do? Watch? Also, is that eucalyptus? Is this where it grows? Or does this island grow everything? Honestly, I don't know where eucalyptus grows. It might be on islands. Or maybe tropical areas near Fiji or Australia. I'm not sure. Michael, your face makes me want to punch you all the time. It's weird to think that the first kiss on this show is between Sawyer and Kate. My heart. Also, Kate and I both feel for the same man. What does this say about me? Also, was I 34 when I learned that con man is short for confidence man? His story is actually so sad. Clearly, you're not quite the man you're hunting because you didn't hurt that family, but clearly you're so troubled. I think Sun is the real MVP here. I want to learn this stuff, just in case we end up on an island. We should all really learn this shit one day. Go back to the basics. Also, how cute is this thing between Charlie and Claire? But Charlie, your hands are so dirty and you're sucking your fingers so hard. Saeed has very kind eyes. And he also seems to have an old piercing that he didn't put an earring in. Fun fact. He's also got a very soothing voice. I think my dog just farted. Random. But he's really taking me out of this moment where Saeed is saying that he has to go away. Is it just me or does Claire's bag look way heavier than Charlie's? I feel like he should be carrying it all. She's very, very pregnant. So Boone, change your damn clothes. Saeed did. Why can't you? Why are you still bloody? And this last moment, to burn or not to burn, do we keep it because we hope we'll get a revenge someday? Or to remember that we've lost our way?
See, I feel like I need to make notes as you're reading that because I think of something to say and then I forget by the end. But you brought up a lot of good points.
Thank you.
Only one thing is stuck in my mind.
The Amanda effect?
Hashtag Amanda effect.
Well, there's that. But CAC.
Oh.
As their ship name.
It's either Jate or CAC, right?
It's Jate.
Is it?
Who's Cac? Oh, Kate and Jack.
It's not cack.
Jate is much better.
Jate is.
Well, I don't know. I'm not in there. I'm not in their like shipdom.
The shipdom.
Is that what it's called?
I'm not in the shipdom either.
Then why do you know so well? Kind of
I'm
sounds
just
like
saying that
someone doesn't.
no one's
hate
gonna be
cake
like,
that much.
I love cake or cack or whatever. I mean, people might say
I do love cake.
I love cake.
Oh my god.
All right.
I
Thank
mean,
you
I
very
did
much,
enjoy
Theresa.
another thing actually. You didn't know it stood for confidence, man?
No, not at all. I watched this series years ago. Didn't for some reason put that together.
Yeah, it's easily forgettable.
And then as I was I mean, to be fair, when I watched it before, I wasn't, writing down my stream of consciousness. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
wasn't
feel like I know it, but it wouldn't be something I would remember off the top of my head. Like if someone said, what did con man stand for? I probably wouldn't remember confidence man right away. But I knew it did when he said it.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Also, if you guys here today, also,
You guys, I tried to cut it down a little and it didn't even
I
work.
love it. But also, legit, if you hear slamming of cups or pouring of liquids, it's because we're trying a new technique tonight where we drink hot tea instead of bubbly
Or beer. Oh, God.
or beer like idiots. And then we're burping and hiccuping and coughing all the way through.
Causing many editing.
I know. I'm so
Here's
sorry.
the
Kip.
tea.
That's a good sound.
That was so
Can I
satisfying.
also have a refill?
Peppermint.
So we're
Oh shit.
ASMR.
No, that's perfect.
Sorry, man. There's none left
Okay,
for
you guys,
you.
I've been.
You're still on your
No, it's
tea.
fine. I don't even really like tea. I just don't want to sound.
But
all...
here's the tea. Sawyer, super hot. This
Okay, yeah.
episode.
Here's the tea. That's the new segment.
Here's the tea.
We waited too many episodes
For what?
for all
the
that
tea?
shirtlessness.
Oh. Well, yeah.
He's hot.
He's hot.
He's hot.
I'm just saying, we were all looking at him when he got out of the water.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of those moments where
Kate wanted to touch that banana instead of the one she was holding.
I was going to say when he's walking towards her, it would have been nice if this was a cable show, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, we can see his little butt.
Yeah.
I'll just lay it out there, what we're all thinking. All right, I think before we get into any of our very original thoughts, we should, again, moving up segments.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be nice. We hear Teresa's stream of consciousness. We also heard some of Dan's hot takes at the beginning so we could kind of process them throughout. So
Love it.
Here is Dan with a popular segment, Dan's hot takes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Dan.
Confidence Man. So this would be episode 8 that I've watched, and I have to say this series is growing on me, but I would say this episode had a glaringly obvious reoccurring issue that I have with the series, and it's just the practicality of it. I understand that they're doing the flashbacks and that they're trying to get into the relationships and the baggage, so to speak, that the people are bringing to this island, but I'm just wondering why there isn't more practicality built in. This is a group that has been wrecked on the island or crashed on the island. And just judging from it, the first thought that I had was, do they eat anything besides boars and bananas? Because so far, that's really the only thing that I'm seeing short of like water. And I had to laugh seeing Kate walk across the beach with some bananas just to think, okay, here's finally someone who's doing some sort of harvesting for the group, because I have to wonder what is on this island to eat, and they haven't really addressed that besides the boars, and I don't like that, because immediately I started thinking if I crashed on this island, I'd be trying to harvest seeds from the little tomato slices in the plain or whatever food was remnants, if there was any fresh vegetables, like trying to do something, because food supply is going to be so limited and you can't just sustain yourself on wild boars. And so just these issues of practicality, and I know for some people they're not fazed by it, but just maybe that's the way I think. I just feel like they aren't addressing enough of the practicality of being stranded on an island. So I also think, do the men shave? Because looking at them, they always have scruff. They're never clean shaven. They just permanently have scruff. And I understand that that's probably maybe for the sake of time, and they're not going to put in, but they could have thrown in from here and there a little storyline about shaving or not shaving, or someone's growing a beard, just because that's usually, I mean, anytime anyone watches Survivor, the first thing is that within a few episodes, someone has grown a huge beard. So I think they should have maybe addressed some of that, because it also made me think, why do so many of them always have clean clothes? Like Kate always has perfectly clean green shirt, cleavage showing, like perfectly prepped, hair to the side. And I just kept thinking it's a little unrealistic to think that someone looks like that after being stranded in the bush for weeks now. Actually, how many weeks are we at that they're on?
We're only on day 8.
9.
Oh,
Day
okay. So it's over a week. So I would say now's the time that they should be looking a little more ragged than they are. And they're still looking a little too confident or put together. I don't quite know. So that's where my mind goes with this. But I have to say it's really coming together. Sawyer is not one of my favorite characters, because I just don't naturally get drawn to the person who's typecast as the bad boy or anything like that. And I just kept thinking, and I have it written down here, is Sawyer a vampire? Because if you watch his take in his flashback to his apartment, it looks like a voodoo den, and that's the only way I know to describe it. It looks like something out of New Orleans, and it is the weirdest looking apartment I've ever seen. Like, I don't know any bachelor that has an apartment that is that designed. It is so heavy on the velvet, and it just struck me as really odd. And so I don't know. I kind of feel like for the salesman aspect, they could have done a better job of giving him more of a realistic background, and had kind of the bachelor's apartment very minimally decorated, just again, going with my theme of practicality. But I would say the show's getting better. It's growing, but it's still quite not there. And then I remind myself that this show was done quite a while ago, and it was a time when you watched TV and it might not be your most favorite show, but it was just the habit of, you might be watching another show on Thursday night or whenever night of the week this was on, but you might have had a favorite show before or after this show, and then because of that you ended up watching this, and then it grows on you. So I would say I wouldn't have stopped watching it, but it probably would not have been like my number one show at the time. But then again, who knows, by the end of the season or by the end of a couple seasons, I probably, there is a big following for this show, so I can see how it grows on someone. So good job, season or episode 8. I would say it's getting better, but to make it stronger, they need to address some of those practicality issues. So a little bit of trivia that I wanted to bring. I don't know whether this is actual trivia or not, but I thought it was interesting. Actor Josh Holloway, which I know there's some big fans around the table, has 2 children in real life. Can anybody name one of them, if not both?
That's a smoke monster.
Yeah, that's my sound effect.
Nice. What are their kids' names?
There's a smoke monster.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Vincent.
Wrong.
Oh.
Really?
No one knows what sound that is.
Whatever. Jack?
No.
Oh.
Teresa?
Sawyer.
No.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
James.
I'm actually shocked because there's kind of a lost connection to one of the names.
What are they?
Walt. Michael.
Okay.
No.
Stop.
No.
Charlie.
First child is Hunter.
Okay.
Second child is Java. Java is a real place in the South Pacific. It's an island in the South Pacific. And also, I have to wonder, was Hunter a throwback? There's a lot of hunting in the show.
Who names their child Java?
Yeah,
That one stuck out with me because Java was definitely
That isn't.
a throwback. And I had to look it up, and sure enough, it is a South Pacific island. It actually belongs to Indonesia. Hunter's more common.
Yeah,
but
Hunter
not Java.
definitely.
So there you go.
I don't think I've ever met anyone.
Thank you very much, Dan. That's great trivia. Thanks, Dan. You're a very practical person.
Yeah, if I get stranded on a desert island, I need Dan with me
No kidding.
to harvest those tomato seeds.
Harvest tomatoes.
We live forever, like kings.
Okay, I have a few points, counterpoints. If you're interested. Okay.
Can I just address Amanda's question?
About the seeds?
But the seeds.
Sure.
This is also a tropical island. You can grow almost anything on a tropical island. You have the heat and you have the humidity.
Okay. All right.
And so they should be trying to...
It's been 8 days.
They should be doing something. I mean, Locke's trying, but he's clearly a predator.
Boars, bananas, and water doesn't
All right.
sustain someone.
So in regards to Sawyer's den, that was a hotel room because she says I'll order room service.
Oh.
And also they were in New Orleans. So good. Catch
okay.
there.
Oh, that's great. That's probably
did.
like a theme then.
Yeah.
Good. I didn't even know. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate your comments as always.
Happy to share.
And we'll see you next week. Well, that was great. So where should we begin? This episode, Sawyer-centric.
Super Sawyer-centric. All about him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's his flashback episode, but we learn a lot. There's some epic sort of struggles in this episode. Big themes of like community, but being on your own versus, it's not
Expectation versus reality.
Yeah.
What happens when you stereotype, when you make assumptions.
assumptions. Yeah, exactly.
But before that, it also has my favorite line from the whole season in it,
What's that?
which is when he's coming out of the water and she's looking at his book and he's like, good book. It's about bunnies.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because it is about bunnies and it's a
is.
random book.
Have you started reading it?
No,
though?
but I bought it. I bought it
Good.
Yeah, guess where it is?
in the back of Theresa's car, still in the McNally Robinson bag, but I purchased it.
Hey, shout out to McNally Robinson,
Yeah.
local bookshop. That's great. Well, next week maybe you'll have started it.
No.
I will have started it.
See, at least he's not reading like a book an episode. This might
I'd
be
be
like
fucked.
his one book for this season. So
But also, I didn't know it was about bunnies, so I wish I had heard that line before. But it is about bunnies.
You love bunnies.
yeah, it's about bunnies.
Watership Down. I think there was a show at one point on TV, like a cartoon or something.
It's actually, I
Was it?
thought we talked about this because there's a lot of parallels between that book and this season.
Yeah, I think we did
Maybe
talk
each
about
season there'll be a book that has a parallel.
Probably, yeah. So where do you guys want to start?
Should we just go through his flashbacks a bit and we
Yeah.
kind of see who he is?
Yeah, let's talk about his flashbacks.
that. We'll start with the disgusting close-up of him kissing that lady.
I don't recall the kiss. I clearly wasn't really paying attention to it.
It's just, I don't know why when, like, in this episode, like, there hasn't been that much, like, physical affection. I just don't know why in this episode, anytime he's kissing someone, it's so close up.
Because it's
so
dudes
gross.
making this TV show.
Also, there was a lot of tongue in his
Yeah.
kiss with Kate later.
Yeah, but
we'll
her
get to that.
too.
Yeah. So the flashback, yeah, he's in his hotel room and starts his con. Well, I mean, he clearly started it earlier, but starts it by accidentally breaking his briefcase full of cash open.
And what it's hard for us because we've already watched it, but like, are we supposed to know already, do you think, that it's a con? Like, do you remember thinking right away, like, it's a con, or that maybe we missed something about his background, or?
That's a good question. I kind of feel like maybe we do get that feel based on just his character.
Right.
I don't, and maybe because he has this story cooked up so quick and it just seems very convenient.
And that's a lot of money to just have.
Apparently there was also supposed to be a lot more backstory. There was actually a lot of scenes or script material in the script that got cut from this that would have explained the con a bit more, explained like their relationship a bit more. There would have been a lot more dialogue on the island with Kate and Sawyer and Kate and Jack. So a lot got cut. So, which is interesting because you still get the full story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just not as sussed out as it could have been.
And you get to see that, like, he's pretty committed.
Oh, committed, yeah.
And clearly it involves bringing in the other guy, the husband.
Yeah. Yeah, that dinner scene, and big fan of that hairstyle that Sawyer had.
You like the kind of, like, slicked back.
Yeah. I thought it looked great. You guys
I'm
not so
more of
much?
a scruffy person myself.
Honestly, I'll take him any way I can get him.
Okay.
I mean, he's beautiful, and his voice is just like butter.
And those dimps.
Those dimps.
Those nips. I mean, dimps.
Whoa.
Those nips.
The nips are just.
keep looking at his
so-so.
nips.
You keep looking at his nips.
I said dimps.
I would say they're above so-so.
I don't know. I don't know. They're nips, okay?
Who keeps talking about them?
Okay. I know you said
I
it.
said dimps.
I thought you said nips.
All right, moving on.
Dimps are also okay. No, those are great. Those are great. Those are great.
I'll fight you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get out.
Okay, great dimps. So hair at times.
So
Great accent.
Great hair.
Okay-ish nips. We've covered it all.
I thought it was above average.
Anyway.
Josh Holloway is like, don't ever talk about me again. He's suing us.
Exactly.
He's suing us for talking about his nips too much.
Yeah, and so then the husband catches on. He's clearly got this con down pat. He knows what to say exactly when. He's very skilled.
Knows when to walk away.
Yeah.
Knows when to, and then we see him explain it a bit more to
Yes.
his, I guess,
What is
business.
that guy?
I think he's just like the money man.
I think so.
But it sounds like he owes him money.
Like Sawyer owes him money.
Yeah.
I think he borrows money from him for the cons.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think in the end, which we'll get to, it looks like he threw both suitcases down. So I think that guy's gonna be pretty mad.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, he was very threatening. Even when he was like, "You're telling me you left my hard-won $160,000?" And at first, I thought he said hard-won, like one, like individual dollars. And then I was like, "Oh, hard-won, like WON, not ONE."
It's just $160,000 in ones.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, "Is that how they like? How would you stack it like that? I feel like it would be a bigger briefcase, no?"
I think so. Maybe a couple.
Several briefcases. Yeah. So the guy threatens him.
Yeah.
So he's clearly some sort of criminal organization here.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
In the real world, we're seeing him kind of, living his life with Kate, flirting,
Yeah.
etc. So kind of laying the groundwork for that. And then we eventually see Boone come and start
Rummaging
rooting
through.
through his stuff.
Which again, why would you just do that? I think that was a bad call on
It
Boone's
was.
part.
I agree. How else was like, that this guy is like kind of violent, like very hot-headed. I don't know why that would be the way you would go about that. Did you think you wouldn't get caught? Like,
I assume he probably thought he might not get caught.
but like you're making a lot of noise. Like you're not even trying to be subtle about it.
Boone also just doesn't make great decisions.
That's true.
And on top of that, like, clearly he's worried, right? And you don't make good decisions or panicked.
And I mean, that's the thing. Like throughout the episode, you see him. He's not a great comforter. He's basically panicking, making Shannon panic further.
Yeah.
And Jack has to kind of talk him down, being like, "Okay, you cannot let her panic. Basically, don't be such a psycho."
I also find that he doesn't really take accountability. Like when they brought him back after being like beat up, they're like, "Who did this?" He's like, "Sawyer," and he just kind of ends it at that. It's like, okay, well, why did he hit you? Because you were going through
doesn't he
shit.
kind of phrase it as like, doesn't Jack say what happened?
Yes.
And then Boone's like, Sawyer. It's like, that's not what happened. Sawyer didn't just jump you.
Well, exactly.
That's what he says. He jumped me.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, and it's like, no, Boone, no. Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I think it plays into everyone's assumptions and ideas of who Sawyer is, who they've decided he is.
Yeah.
Because they'll just believe Boone saying Sawyer and be like, okay, this guy just jumped this kid.
Yeah, which is just, I didn't like Boone in that moment because I'm like, I don't, this is not a good Boone episode.
no.
He's not helping. He's taking away. He's panicking Shannon. He's like maybe not lying, but he's misrepresenting what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just not good. But was I the only one who forgot that Saeed got hit in the head at the end of last episode until he's like,
I also forgot.
I see Jack like kind of like dabbing on his head and I'm like, oh, what happened to Saeed?
Well, and that's the funny thing about that synopsis earlier. They allude to that playing such a huge role in the episode, and it's literally just Jack stitching up his head or patting it.
And then like 2 conversations about it later.
And then just like with Locke and Saeed. And I agree with you, Theresa. I wouldn't have known about making a cigarette as a slow fuse. And actually, that was one of the changed cuts. It was supposed to be anyone who has any basic military training knows how to make a slow fuse, use a cigarette. But they changed it to anyone who's watched TV, which I think was a dumb...
Yeah, that doesn't.
But I guess maybe they didn't want to make it sound like Sawyer had military training. I don't know.
But also, like, is that accurate even for military training? Is it even possible to do that where they are? I thought that was a stretch.
It was. And I'm actually, I don't know that I fully believe that, like, Saeed would believe that right away. Like,
Because Saeed has military training.
and, like, it just seemed like he's like, well, it'd be someone who's profiting. Like, can you please explain to me how Sawyer's profiting from being stranded on an island with everyone else?
I think he just means he's stealing stuff and taking stuff and doing quite well for himself.
Yeah, but
I agree. Like, he's still stuck in the same shitty
he's
situation they
sleeping
all
in
are.
the sand. He's eventually, like, he has to eat with them. Like, it's...
Well, and then you see him
He's not
stroll up
bothering
to get water. So it's like he's not cut off. He's not like living this king lifestyle on his own.
No. So I thought Locke's whole thing was a stretch.
That scene with Saeed and Locke was definitely not what it was built up to be in the synopsis.
Well, and just in general
brief.
too, like what you're saying, Theresa, about Saeed believing it and how Saeed believing it is almost unbelievable. I think it plays into the theme of this whole episode, which is he didn't need to be that convinced because they already assume Sawyer's the bad guy.
100%.
Yeah, but nothing about that even. If I heard that, I'd be like, you're actually crazy. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Even if I thought that Sawyer was a bad guy, I'd be like, this literally sounds so far-fetched.
Yeah, but they want to believe it's Sawyer. They're looking for an excuse to get him.
I mean, but Saeed already believed it wasn't Sawyer. So why would that be the thing to convince him that it could be?
Because he hates Sawyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad
Maybe it was,
setup.
but at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Is they all believe Sawyer, without any proof or evidence, and basically just conjecture, is this guy who's somehow profiting and wanting to attack Saeed and break the communication equipment. So
he really wants to stay on that island so he can keep burying his stuff in the jungle.
Exactly.
God.
And really, I guess it was just a way for Saeed to get a knife, because we see that knife used later on.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, again, Locke, that's the solution? Mm-hmm. Like, what's with the cut rate to violence in this episode?
And that's just, I think that's intentional, because one of the earlier lines from Jack is, we're not savages.
Not yet.
Not yet. But then it's like how quickly things change, and who's actually the savage here? Everyone who's attempting without any proof, without any say to just attack this one guy because they don't like him because he makes mean nicknames.
They all just assumed he had it.
Yeah. Nobody asked him.
Nope.
They just assumed. Mm-hmm. Jack just starts rooting through his stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So we very quickly, Theresa alluded to this in her stream of consciousness, but we do finally get an answer that Claire is a beach person.
That's right. Yes.
Because we did ask that when we didn't see her for those episodes. Is Claire on the beach in the cave?
Yeah, Claire's a beach person. Her and Charlie.
So cute.
Sorting laundry, doing a couple things. It was really cute.
Charlie's trying to convince her to move to the caves with him.
I mean, talking about being practical, Claire, go where the doctor is.
Yeah.
You're
He made a lot of good points.
Yeah, definitely. But they're so cute. Oh my God.
I mean, I could see kind of hanging on to be able to, I could see in that situation wanting to be as many eyes on the water as possible in case they were to see a boat or something, or a plane, right? If there's trees over you, you can't see much. So I could see someone not wanting to give up that hope of being able to be the one to spot it in case nobody else did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you need to be where the doctor is, 100%.
Yeah, super pregnant.
So then, yeah, we do have Jack rooting through again. So we see Shannon, and Shannon looks horrific.
Oof.
Like, I hate Shannon, but even when you first see her in that later scene where she is panicking that we've alluded to, I feel so deeply for her. Probably props to Maggie Grace on the acting, but I get it. Like, Jack's the doctor. He can't do much for her. He's the de facto leader. He sees her in trouble, and he also flips out. But he's so aggressive. Everyone is so 0 to 60 in this episode.
Exactly. It was funny when Jack said, "Yeah, a lot of scrapes today." Because I was just thinking, literally right before he said that, Jack is literally just always stitching people up. Thank God there was a doctor on that plane, or these people would be screwed.
Not kidding. And it's I think the worst part about it is a lot of scrapes today. They're all inflicted by everybody else. You're all hitting each other,
attacking. Yeah, exactly.
It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Jack's rooting through stuff.
Yeah. Very aggressively.
What the fuck kind of thing. And they get into a little pounding of their chests.
Yeah, exactly.
Fight. And then who walks up?
Kate.
The very practical person that is Kate.
What's going on here? Okay. They don't owe you anything.
And then when she talks to Jack and Jack, I'm going to kill him, or whatever Jack says, or whatever, who knows. And then Kate's I can convince him, or whatever. I'm paraphrasing this way, but essentially she's let me try, or whatever. And it's get over yourself, Kate.
Well, and it's funny because she says he thinks we have a connection, and you can totally tell that she also feels a connection.
Oh, she digs it too.
Yeah, exactly. And Jack's do you?
Yeah.
So concerned all of a sudden.
Come on, Jack, you're jealous already.
It's been 8 days. Let's calm down.
Yeah, 9. Sorry.
9 to 10 days. 9.5.
No, exactly. And so she goes in and tries to talk to him as he's cutting his wood. Chopping wood.
Yeah.
What is he chopping that wood for?
I don't know.
A part of me is like, is he chopping it for everyone? Or does he have his own little, like, wood pile
He's
somewhere?
got quite the little, like, society going for himself. He's got his wood chopping area. He's got his tent that used to be the infirmary. He's got his jungle stash area. He's got his dipping area where he goes for his skinny dips. He's got this island, like, mapped out.
He's like built a life, which I mean is more than I can say for some people, Michael.
Or Kate.
Kate went and got bananas.
She got bananas.
Those bananas were not ripe.
What are they going to do? They can't be picky.
Wouldn't?
Imagine how
Don't they
starchy
ripe
that
off
would
the
be.
vine?
I don't know, honestly.
When do bananas ripe? Off the vine or on the vine?
I feel like
Off. They
got it because
ripen
they're
on top of
green.
your fridge.
Always on the fridge.
yeah, but that's
Wherever you
yeah,
put
but
them.
don't you account for like transport? That's why they're
They're usually green in the grocery store
And there's some that are yellow.
yeah. There's a lot that are yellow.
But they're green. They get riper
as they go.
as they go. So you take it off a tree, it's not going to be ripe.
Would they keep being ripe if you'd never pick them? Like they wouldn't just stay green forever. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
I don't know.
maybe they just pick them at a certain stage.
I don't
they
think
stay
they
on
ripen.
there.
I think they pick them at a certain
and they would
stage.
still be yellow. Maybe she did have a good one.
What?
Kate had a good one then.
Because she picked the bananas at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's not shipping it anywhere. They're gonna eat it.
Well, what did her banana look like that we're discussing
They
this?
were
this summer?
green.
Were they?
Like, no,
maybe there's a different type.
they were pretty
They were
green.
all green.
Maybe
Like,
they were plantains.
oh, maybe.
No.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know what grows on an
island.
island that's 1,000 kilometers
Miles
off course.
I mean, apparently eucalyptus.
Yes.
We'll get to that.
That's a good point. Eucalyptus. Like
Yeah.
you said, everything.
Everything,
Yeah,
really.
apparently, yeah.
Dan
Tomatoes.
did say everything could grow there.
Bamboo.
Right?
Yeah, Dan said everything could grow.
They also grew bamboo.
We're back in the caves.
Oh, yeah.
actually. And Jack, it's when she's really starting to panic
Yeah.
and have a bad moment. And Sawyer, I mean, this is ballsy. Like,
Oh, yes.
like I love Sawyer to a degree right now. He's kind of a dick, but it's ballsy to just walk into the lion's den on that.
And the way he walks in, like, struts in.
He's got that smile on his face.
He's
Like,
smirking.
As she's like dying in the corner.
Yeah.
So him and Jack's like, give it to me. And, you know, it's funny because when you watch it and you know that he doesn't have it, which anyone who's listening to this, I hope knows that at this point, when you know he doesn't have it and you kind of watch his interactions with everyone, he never once says he has it.
Never.
And he never once says he doesn't. Like he's playing into their
Yeah.
assumptions. And it's quite entertaining, honestly.
So why? Why is he not just saying, I don't have them? I found this book on the beach. It washed up.
my theory is that he always keeps people at a distance.
I mean, Kate kind of alludes to at least what she thinks, right? Which is
Yeah.
that he wants people to hate him. I personally think that he's just spent his life knowing that people are going to think whatever they're going to think about him. And there's no point in trying to dissuade that because he doesn't care what anyone else thinks, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think it's probably a mixture of all of those. You know, he's clearly got some self-hate going on, that he became the man who he despised, that he totally thinks that people are just going to think what they think. And
I mean, they're not really proving him wrong.
no, not at all. And that's the thing. He plays into it so hardcore
He does.
that it's almost like he's, it's a way to torture himself, which is really sad.
It's really sad. Like, because like you said even earlier, right? He has kind of made this little one-man lonely island type existence for himself on the beach. He doesn't have anyone.
Well, and it's funny because he says when Jack's rooting through his stuff, like, what kind of commie place you got up there at the caves or something. And it's just kind of a funny comment, but it's also the way Sawyer sees it. It's like he doesn't share things. he doesn't believe in just giving things away. He's collecting all these things, these first few episodes. He's just taking what he wants. But then we see those glimpses of him giving those things to Claire, you know, a few episodes ago. You see those glimpses of humanity, but it's clear he's got a perception of life, that he's a lone wolf, that he does things his own way, and he's built up this persona. And I think he doesn't maybe even know how to not be this guy. He doesn't even know how to say, I don't have them. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you know, I think it's kind of cliche to say, but as you see towards the end, it's clearly also a trust thing, right? He doesn't trust anyone, right? And when you find out kind of why, it makes sense. So he has these trust issues and this horrible trauma, plus he kind of thinks he's turned into what that is. So he's traumatized, he's lonely, and he now thinks he's not worthy of anyone else. Yeah. So he's kind of carved out this existence for himself. Again, does it make it okay?
No.
That he's a complete dick? And quite honestly, like, not telling them that he doesn't have it hurts him, clearly.
Yeah.
But it also hurts Shannon because they're wasting time thinking that they're going to get it from him when they should be finding another solution.
Exactly.
And that's why Sun, I think, is the real MVP of this episode.
Yeah.
But right at those caves when he's walking in and he's getting that water, and that fight between him and Jack was very difficult to watch. I felt that I hated that scene. Yeah, watching them get physical.
Sawyer wasn't even really fighting back. Like, he was just
taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is hard. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
I was just going to say it's also hard because, like, at the end of the day, I don't agree with any of Jack's actions in this episode, but he's still a doctor, and he, you know, it can be easy for him to resort to violence. Like, you can tell he struggles with that, and later on he really struggles with what happens, right? So it's like it's heartbreaking on every front because Jack clearly thinks this is his only option. It's probably very difficult for him. And Sawyer doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, and that I want to talk about that because how quickly they resort to that last option. I mean, their first option was essentially his non-violent option was rooting through his old infirmary area where Sawyer's living now. And then, boom, next thing you know, he's punching Sawyer at the caves. And then next thing you know, they're literally torturing him.
Yeah, and that's so messed up.
So messed up, like how quickly they devolved. And it was an interesting shift because it was not from who you would expect. We're led to believe Jack is very, like you say, it was probably really hard for him to do those things, but that's because we're led to believe that he's a very, you know, reasonable person who doesn't jump to those kind of conclusions. He's fact-based and he shouldn't be the one to instantly believe that Sawyer has it just because of hearsay and conjecture. And Sayid, so far, he's been fairly reasonable as well.
And gentle,
yeah. And then to immediately, I mean, maybe that's because he had a bit of goading from Locke, who sort of like built up, reminded Sayid of how much he didn't like Sawyer, and just instantly goes into torture mode. Was bizarre.
As we talk about it, I'm actually thinking, like, I feel like this has been like, we've been kind of leading up to it to this point, because remember when they thought that Sawyer stole the water?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I got it from them. And then immediately Sayid goes over there and starts yelling at Jin and Sun.
Yeah.
There was no, like, that's not calm. He just
That's true.
completely went off at them when they don't speak English. So maybe it's just been like a lead up of like thing after thing. And now he believes that Sawyer did something else, and just adding the fact that like he has quote unquote, you know, her inhalers or whatever is just like justification for him getting to that point.
And he was probably ramped up or revved up from that hit over the head because someone destroyed his equipment, that he was looking for an outlet to get revenge on anybody at that point.
The other thing is like, we do have to take into account, like I was saying earlier, that big panic attack, asthma attack she has, she's like gray. Yeah. And she looks like she's going to die. And at the end of the day, it's a small group, and they're all watching this happen, and he's a doctor and he can't do anything. And so I can understand a little bit his helplessness, But again, the quickness to which for someone who said we're not savages yet, it wasn't hard for him to divulge into that quickly.
No, exactly. All of a sudden, he is asking Saeed to shove bamboo shoots up Sawyer's fingernails.
Yeah. I'd like to think that for Jack, he agreed to it thinking, like, Sawyer would give in way easier. Because, like, within the first, like, few seconds of Saeed torturing Sawyer, you can see he's like, his face just looks like, oh, crap, like, we can't keep doing this. So I'd like to think that that's what his thought process was like, we'll try this, and then if it works, and then it'll work right away, and then we're done.
Yeah, he probably didn't think it would go that far.
And, like, Saeed just, like, crossed over to the dark side.
Oh, he went quick.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, so let's stay with that for a second. Saeed, I mean, at the end of the episode, you see Saeed leaving, essentially saying, like, he was, quote-unquote, disappointed with what he did. And he told himself years ago he would never do that again, and very upset at how quickly he fell back into that pattern of what he obviously did for his old job with the Republican Guard. I mean, did you see that coming? I mean, if we didn't know, like, would you have seen that coming?
I did expect him to demonstrate a level of remorse. I did kind of feel like he did slip into, like, maybe an old pattern, and that when he kind of came out of it, that he was going to have a lot of remorse, because it doesn't seem like him.
Yeah.
Did I think he was going to walk off into the sunset by himself? No.
No, exactly. How did you feel about that, Theresa, of Saeed just taking off?
I think that makes sense. I feel like we kind of said, like, he's, usually pretty calm, pretty level-headed. And then there's been instances of him, like, flying off the handle. And this time he, like, really flew off the handle. And I think, like, it's a way for him to protect them from him. And then he also gets to do something where, because I try to think about it. So the first time they went up there, they got the signal. Then, he had Kate try to put it in a tree, dropped it. And she's like, try again.
Yeah.
And then he did try again and they got hit in the head. Like, he's
kind
not
of at his wit's end.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I kind of feel for him in that sense. Like, he's the only one doing all these things and he's responsible for it all. And someone keeps sabotaging him and shit keeps happening. So, I mean, I kind of get why he's like, I only trust myself and I'm just going to go do it.
He needs a break.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because it's sort of having seen the whole season, it really does feel like this is sort of the beginning of, not the end, but it's sort of the end of the group, as it were. Like, we had that small break of them between the caves and the beach, and now we have someone literally leaving both, going out on their own. And so it's an interesting way to end the episode of someone actually just taking off and leaving. And it's really cool because it's like, oh, we're going to get to see more of the island now. Like, where's he going to go? What's he going to find?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it also just kind of feels like kind of like a giving up almost, because he has been trying so hard to get off the island and doing all these things. And now he's like, well, someone has to map it. It's like, why?
He's already decided, well, we're never getting off, so now we need a whole map.
Exactly.
I do think it was almost like a device, though, from the writers to start exploring a bit more.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
And it makes sense, which is nice, You hate to see that someone just leaves just for the sake of leaving. Like, there has to be a reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at least this makes sense for him. Like, he crossed the line. He needs to separate himself to, like, do something else.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who cross the line, they torture him. It's awful. But then his little relenting is to say, I'll only tell one person. Get Kate back. And he's like, that kiss or whatever we talked about, which is horrifying.
Disgusting.
Like, he sexually assaults her.
Yeah.
Because he coerces her into something she doesn't want to do. And it's disgusting. And it is all for naught, right? Because he doesn't even have information. He's just messing with them at this point. And you know what? Fine. Jack and Saeed are being awful. But why are you messing with Kate? Leave her out of this.
I think he's just trying to be awful on purpose. Because, like, even when Saeed runs off and, like, Jack's like, holding his artery or whatever, and he's like, let go, I know you want to.
Yeah.
And Jack's, like, just staring at him, like, breathing heavily. And then he says, if this were you, I would let go. It's like, no, you wouldn't. You were one of the first people to jump in when Jin and Michael were fighting. Like, you're not the kind of person who just lets someone die. You tried to, do the right thing by killing the marshal because he was suffering. Like, you're not the kind of guy to just let someone die.
I don't know. Jack had just participated in torturing him. He might have been just reacting in anger there. He might have let him die in that moment.
In that moment, maybe. But I agree. Like that scene was a little tough to watch because it just felt like Sawyer's little "let me die" monologue was a little like far-fetched,
a little cheesy.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. But we kind of glossed over a little bit the letter that he does read to Kate, right? And so, and it's kind of interesting because it's kind of in the beginnings of the flashback. So when he reads it to Kate, obviously it's addressed to him in quotation marks. Kate reads it. And so not only is it addressed to him, but we've seen the groundwork in the flashbacks of that con.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so we have no reason to think it's not him. We've got the name and we're seeing him in flashbacks doing it.
Yeah.
And so we start to see why he's this kind of awful man. But at the end of the flashbacks, we see a little boy come out and he abandons it.
Yeah, it was a couple of things. I actually didn't realize that you found out he wasn't who that letter was addressed to in this episode. For some reason, I thought that was later on that you found out that he was originally the victim of a con and that his parents had died that way. But because of that, when he sees the little boy come out and you can just see it in his face that he's just like, fuck. I cannot, what have I done? Like instant regret. He drops the money, doesn't even care about that and just leaves. I mean, it's almost like a moment where those types of things come out and you can kind of start to understand why he is the way he is, why he has that sort of hatred for himself, because here he's almost done the exact same thing that happened to him. For all he knows, they're going to get into a huge fight now and something could happen to that couple. And he's probably got that on his mind. Like, wow, I could have just done this to this kid. What happened to me? You think that would be something he would have asked her before? Like, got any
maybe
kids?
She lied.
Yeah, maybe. That's true.
Or who knows, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how these smarmy affairs happen and how much divulge.
That's true. In those voodoo hotel rooms.
Yeah, with all the drapes
and the velvet or whatever.
So then after that moment, we're kind of questioning, is he not okay with this because someone sent him that letter? Like, if I was watching it for the first time, and maybe even when I did watch it the first time, I probably think like, oh, because of that letter and because he's destroyed a family before, he doesn't want to destroy a family again. That was kind of my first thought. But then you realize in the end that that's not at all what happened. It's that he was that kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's heartbreaking. It really is.
It was very sad. I found this episode very hard for like ranking even like Sawyer. Like, where do you put, like, because you're right. Now a lot of what he's been doing like kind of makes sense. And so, I mean, obviously rankings stay within the episode, but even then, like, you're just examining all of the things you knew before. And now you have like reasons behind it. And you're like, okay, so you're not that bad. But you are bad.
Well, it's a yo-yo episode for Sawyer, right? Like you feel he's cocky in the beginning. Then he's a bit of a dick. Then he, because he beats, whatever. He shouldn't have beat up Boone. No. Like at the end of the day, violence isn't the answer for that. Like he was wrong to do that. I just don't like the way Boone characterized it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that violence was acceptable. So he's a dick, he's beating people up, then he's kind of sympathetic, then he's really sympathetic, then, so it's all over the place with him. And that's kind of how you feel about Sawyer for the whole entirety of his part on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, before we move on, like did we already talk about the eucalyptus?
Well, I was just going to say,
we should talk about Jin and Sun.
What is a very hard episode to watch is finished with two of the sweetest moments of the whole series. Mm-hmm. Beginning with Sun, Jin, and Michael and their little don't man or whatever he said.
Yeah,
Michael.
So,
I hate him so much.
But like also it was so Jin still doesn't know that Sun speaks English.
Correct.
Even like the little bit that she does. And so Jin sees her talking with them when she's smearing the eucalyptus on Shannon. And it is a little like tough to see Jin feel more isolated at this moment, because he's even seeing his wife, who he believes doesn't speak any English, and they all there don't know that she speaks English too, is still able to communicate and be a part of the group. Whereas Jin just feels so isolated, and now he probably feels like he's also like losing Sun a little bit because he's so resistant to even partaking in any way, which is his own problem. That's his own fault. But
well, I also think that it's just because he's used to being the provider and the caregiver and keeping an eye on her and keeping her close and keeping her safe and whatever. That's kind of how I think he's justified whatever it is he's carrying on in his personal life with her father. That like he has to do this for her. He has to complete these tasks for her. And now they're on this island. And, you know, we see him at first like telling her to cover up and getting her food and water. And now she's kind of branching out. And like, does she really need him here?
yeah. And
Doesn't look like it.
No, exactly. And he's feeling that, right? So it's I loved the way she helped Shannon out.
But I just, okay. How does it have to be said? When Jack comes over and he's like smelling it and he's like, oh, eucalyptus. Of course. Or like, why didn't I like, yeah. Why didn't you think about that, Jack?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're too busy panic moding it and beating up innocent-ish men.
That's a great point. It's like if he had just held his shit together and not instantly decided, you know what, let's go torture this guy, maybe he would have thought of that.
I really would like to get a doctor on here, though. I would like to know if that is...
Is that real?
Is that a long-term fix for the lack of inhalers? Because at the end of the day, the inhalers seem to be gone.
Yeah.
So let's hope it is.
Is there, if anyone's listening who is a doctor or knows a doctor, could you please let us know?
If you make some sort of eucalyptus salve and I rub it on my chest, if I have asthma, will I be okay without an inhaler forever?
Do you have asthma?
No. But
I wonder if it works on allergies. Can we just start smearing eucalyptus?
Why would that work on allergies?
I don't know. Eucalyptus.
It just seems like a magical herb or plant or whatever it is. It smells great.
It does.
Like she's
really does.
probably the best smelling one of them now by a lot.
Well, and the thing is, she also introduced us to aloe for teeth. I'm sure aloe probably could have worked in this situation too.
Oh, it definitely helps with cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
And burns.
And mosquito bites.
So it really is.
Mosquito bites.
Eucalyptus and or aloe. I'm
For
sure.
everything. I'm only keeping that in my house going forward. No
That's it.
medicines.
No.
No ointments.
I only trust Sun.
But you know what? I do trust Sun, and that's why I think she's the MVP, because Jack is like, we need to find the inhalers. Like, he's very much a traditional medicine kind of guy,
Big Pharma.
right? Like, and Sun's like, well, we don't have toothpaste. Let me use this plant. And now
Such
she's
an American
like,
doctor thing.
Yeah.
and now she's like, Michael, I need you to go find this. And then she just mashes it together and it works.
So cool.
So it's like, she's clearly thinking more about how can I help, as opposed to, well, we have this, 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 and this. What can we do? Like, he even said they're running out of peroxide. Like,
Yeah. Aloe.
your
Maybe.
supplies are limited, but you know what's not? All the foliage and shit.
Yeah,
out
you got to
there.
figure out some solutions here. I do want to just say before we move on to, I think, probably the final little scene we'll talk about. I really do think Maggie Grace, who plays Shannon, did a very good job in this episode of acting. Like, I literally, like I said, she's my least favorite character. And I got like goosebumps watching her. Like, I felt for her in that moment.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine. As much as we give Boone a hard time for reacting badly and Jack a hard time for reacting badly, that couldn't have been easy to watch. And
But I will say, just to say, like, Boone is definitely at this point, like, just straight up detrimental to everything. Like, he's contributing to her panic. And then when he finds out that Sawyer is bleeding, he leaves her to go to do what?
like, when you tell me we're going after him or
Yeah.
whatever, it's like,
Well, like, what are you going to do? Watch him bleed? Clearly, they're going to try to fix him. So, like, why are you going? Why would you leave the person that you're trying to help to do whatever it is you want to
because
do?
Boone is overly emotional and reactive. And we'll see that has led him to many troubles in his life, not even just on the island. So,
Exactly. Looking forward to that Boone episode.
So we finish with what is one of, and I'll say it, Theresa will love it, the most iconic Lost moments.
It is, though.
It is. That scene with the, I thought it looked like green screen.
You did?
Yeah, Teresa's like, no, they're just on the island. Look, it's kind of green screen. But that scene
beautiful.
of Charlie and the fake peanut butter in her is so freaking cute.
It's so cute, but please wash your hands first.
Can you say peanut butter in the accent?
Peanut butter.
Oh. And we need to know, do Australians not like peanut butter? Because she says, I'm the only Australian who likes peanut butter.
There are 7% listeners from Australia. Hi, Chris and Dana. If you could tell us if Australians don't like peanut butter. Dana in particular loves to talk on behalf of all Australians. So Dana, if you're listening, could you please comment below whether all Australians...
She can't have it anyway.
I'm pretty sure I saw peanut butter for sale when we were there. Like, you can buy it.
We can buy Marmite here. It doesn't mean people like it.
That's true.
Nothing wrong with Marmite.
I don't know what that is.
It's the
Is that Vegemite?
no, it's the like English version of Vegemite.
Oh, okay. I don't know what any of these mites are.
Yeast extract.
Gross. Sounds disgusting.
It's pretty good.
Anyway.
But yes, that is adorable. And
A beautiful way to end it.
I love Claire's like confusion at first, followed by like disappointment because she thought she was getting peanut butter, and then just sort of like this acceptance that, yeah, I guess let's do this, you know.
She like plays into it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so cute.
I know,
I loved
them.
it.
And Claire is just the most adorable human.
She is.
Her accent is so cute.
Yeah.
Her belly is so cute. She like adds that kind of cuteness to the...
And she gives us some hope that like
She's
things. She's like she's never angry or anything. Like even when she's on the beach and he's like, "There's a lot of sun. Like you need shade in the cave." She's like, "I have my hat."
I know. She's just so
Precious
sweet.
little.
And for someone who's potentially facing a very huge medical crisis, she's very calm,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. It's just a nice way to end, and then we get the music and...
You see Sawyer reading his letter.
And he's gonna burn it.
He thinks he's gonna burn it, and
then he doesn't.
I mean, Dr. Holloway again does a great job of showing like the pain that the character, like that Saeed or that Sawyer's going through. I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's reevaluating a lot of stuff in that moment, I think.
Yeah. I will say a lot of these actors are doing a really good job with the like subtlety of like expressing so much by just like a look.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people are not that good at that. So for them to be able to do it and have us feel for them by just the way that they look before they kiss someone or before they get punched in the face or while he's reading, like, for example, Sawyer did like a fantastic job, like you were saying.
Well, I think it for Sawyer specifically, up until now, we've seen Josh Holloway play Sawyer as a, you know, kind of like the badass sort of mean guy, bad guy, really. And here we got to see him actually branch out and really show that there's life and there's actual character here who has a lot of depth and isn't just one dimensional. And you wouldn't have got that so much with a weaker actor. So it was really well done.
Yeah, I think the only actor, and like it's not the actor's fault, I don't think, but obviously Michael is unable to portray such subtleties because he is really just one note, angry and weird. Also, not a lot of Locke in this episode.
Thank the Lord.
He was, other than that, like one like weird interaction.
Yeah, that's
with
right.
Saeed, where he's just like kind of leading him to like. That's it.
Shivving or making a shiv.
Also, I don't love the manipulation of being like, well, that would just be between me and the boar I was skinning for our meal.
And just hands him the knife.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
for next time.
We know that you hunt. That is your contribution. You don't need to hold it over everybody.
You know, I think before we move on to another popular segment, I think this episode has been missing something. And I think I can sum it up.
Oh, no.
When they're torturing him, it's so very wrong. I think everyone knows it's wrong.
I'm really worried.
But you want to know why it's so wrong?
Why? I don't know.
Because even Kate knows it's wrong, and she's a stupid bitch.
There it
Continue.
is. I was like,
We needed that Kate hate.
what is an episode without Kate hate? I would like to say that I feel incredibly validated by Daniel's thoughts because I have, on many a stream of consciousness, talked about how they should be itchy, how Saeed and Hurley's hair is too perfect. As someone with curly hair, if I don't brush it after a day in the shower with the right products, I look awful. And their hair is perfect. I'm just saying, I feel validated. These are real questions.
Good.
So, should we move on to, I think, what everyone's probably been waiting for, because this is a difficult episode.
Yeah.
Theresa.
Well, yeah, because I need to know, is Michael getting off that floor? Is he getting off that floor from last place?
For those following along on the blog, you'll see that Michael has a really steady pace at number 14.
He's got a ways to go.
But here's the thing, you guys. He didn't do anything this time that was that helpful other than bringing Sun Eucalyptus.
Let's hear those rankings.
I should have got him at least a couple points.
I think so.
Yeah, but let's think about how many points he would have lost for being dumb about cutting that fish in his hand and then screaming about it, and then being like, "Don't," to Sun or to Jin. Don't. He didn't even say anything. He was just looking at you like, "Calm down."
But you can't blame the man for cutting his hand while cutting a fish, right?
He didn't cut his hand he didn't cut his hand while doing it. He got fish guts on his face because the moron was holding the fish and then trying to gut it that way.
Okay.
Are you a chef? Are you good with a knife? Probably not. So why don't you put it down somewhere?
Been in construction for 8 years.
You know, like build yourself a table if you've been in construction.
I'm not a fortune teller here, but I think it's going to be Michael at 14.
At number 14, it's still Michael with negative 1,105 points.
Holy shit.
He's not getting out of that hole anytime soon unless he does something to really change things. Then we have at number 13, Shannon with negative 625. We have Kate with negative 375 at number 12. Sawyer at number 11 with negative 170. Boone at number 10 with negative 140. Saeed at number 9 with negative 115. And then we have Jin at number 8 with negative 70. Walt at number 7 with negative 25. Now we're getting into the pluses. So we have Hurley with plus 120. We have Locke at number 5 with 150. Jack at number 4 with 265. Claire at number 3 with 325. Charlie at number 2 with 500. And that leaves Sun Hua Quan at number 1. She actually had 510 points going in, but due to my fangirling over her, because she honestly was the real MVP. She saved Shannon, and she is honestly bringing a very good point to the foreground, which is you're running out of stuff, and you need to find alternatives, and she has the alternatives. So I gave her an honorary 100 points for innovation, which
innovation points
at a whopping 610.
Where does it turn into positives? Like what number?
6.
Okay, so more than half of the cast
are
in the negatives. What a great cast of characters.
You know, it's just, well, obviously Michael's the worst. Shannon is very...
I felt that negativity was... I felt Shannon might get some sympathy points.
She did. She actually had less points last time.
They're just so far down the list that there's no coming out.
It was that screaming really threw her off.
I'm like, I'm not going to give points because I feel bad for you. That's not how you get points.
It's a positive action.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Theresa. Good rankings. This is exciting. So let's do our own ratings. I'm going to give this episode... I think, you know what, I'm going to give it this is tough. I think I'm going to give it an 8.9. I really felt for Sawyer. You know what? I revised that. I'm giving it a 9.2. Because even though I didn't like how quickly they devolved into savagery, I think it was a good juxtaposition between the characters and for the purpose of the story, I think it worked. So 9.2.
Interesting. I'm going to give this a 9.5. Oh. Confidence Man is probably one of the top 2 episodes of the season for me. It's not just because it's Sawyer centric and all joking aside about how beautiful he is, etc. I like that they're addressing the fact that tensions are going to rise and how are they going to deal with it. It's a very interesting episode about conflict resolution, making assumptions, and just how quickly this can go off the rails if they're not more careful in every way, in losing supplies, in becoming savage, in becoming violent, in becoming, medically in distress. Like, it just shows how quickly, if they're not on guard, that this whole thing is going to go to shit. And I think it's a good lesson and it has some really cute moments. I'm going to give this a 9.5.
8.3.
Okay, meeting us in the middle.
There's no rhyme or reason for it. I really like this episode, but I honestly could not pick a number. And
Okay.
so that is the one I arbitrarily assign it. 9.3 is okay, right? It's a good episode. Sawyer's hot. Sawyer's gross.
What? Why isn't he gross?
Well, when he was saying, like, I'll do it for a kiss.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
disgusting.
That was
Like,
gross.
that's awful.
And also the kissing of the sweaty, bloody mouth.
Also, why so close up? Also, can you have that much tongue? Like,
Also,
Also,
dang it.
thank you for listening, everybody. That leads us to the end of Confidence Man.
check us out next week with our newest episode.
Solitary.
You guys, when someone says that they're a con man, they mean confidence man. But when they say that they're running a con, are they running a confidence?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
No,
Well, like no, they're running a con,
a con.
but it comes from being a con man, which is short for confidence. So a con man runs a con.
A confidence man runs a con.
But a con is
not a
short for
confidence.
But it comes from the fact that they're a con man, which is short for confidence.
And
'Cause they're
we'll leave you
confident.
on that thought.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Get Lost. Be sure to tune in next week wherever you listen to your podcasts and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at letsgetlost.pod. Links to our website and Patreon can be found in our profiles. Join our Patreon for only $3 a month for exclusive access and content like Spoiler Island. Be sure to get lost with us again next time. Bye.
Hey.
Okay.